Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to a new update on the game. So in this video I'm gonna tell you a little bit about progress so far, what I've done so far, what I've been doing lately, and we're gonna talk a little bit about prototyping, because I've been lately looking at a lot of videos on prototyping, and how that is done, and what's the purpose of prototyping. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about that. As you can see over here, we still got our asteroids on the screen. We still have our planets, and there is also over here in the corner there is some kind of space station. Down in the bottom you can see some kind of buttons, and you can see of course our ship over here. So lately I've been just doing missiles, guns, lasers, trying to make that work as nicely as possible. And right now the weapon systems are pretty much the way they should be work out. So we're gonna talk about that. So down here you can see that we have three things we can actually use. We can use guns, we can use rockets, and we can use lasers. Guns are pretty simple, they just shoot around. Lasers, they throw lasers. And we got missiles that do not come out, because we gotta target something before they come out. And there you go, we got a missile. Homing missiles working as intended. I've been doing a lot of time programming and trying to figure out how to make homing missiles work. Now they do work very nicely right now. These are actually rigid body homing missiles, and every kind of tutorial I'm watching or idea about how to make missiles, everybody is using area 2D or kinetic body 2D homing missiles. So making rigid body missiles work was kind of a little bit tricky, but I kind of made it work. The biggest problem is not making rigid body missiles work, is making it work while you're actually moving the ship. So as you can see right now, they are doing very nicely and they are going. So there is a lot of how you gonna say it, options you have when you are fighting enemy ships, when you are shooting at enemy ships with the missiles. So if you shoot straight at them, they go straight at them. But let's assume that this over here is an enemy ship, and you wanna shoot at that enemy ship. Just shooting straight at it, it hits the asteroid in between, so you can actually shoot around it, which is actually very nice, right? So you can actually use asteroids as some kind of shield when you're fighting the enemy ships. So that's gonna be definitely implemented in the game, because these other two options are just straight, they are straight shooting patterns, and the laser as well. We also got some kind of laser particle effects. We got a missile effects, and we got some kind of bolt effects as well. So basically right now the weapon systems are working as intended. We got a 3 weapon system. That's all the weapon systems we're gonna have in the game. I mean, you will be able to upgrade different types of rockets, how much damage they do and so forth, better projectiles, better lasers, and so forth. But that's we gotta make the scope of the game a lot smaller than intended, because I don't want to use 50 years to make the game. Number one, I'm a weak programmer. I'm not actually that good programmer, so I cannot just to make a simple thing like a homing missile, it takes me a lot of time. So basically that's what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of missile testing and trying to get missiles to work. I've been trying different ways to do that, and what I've come to the conclusion is when it comes to prototyping. So oftentimes I have some kind of idea about how I want something to work, and I implement that, and it kind of doesn't feel the right way. So I went and looked at a lot of videos about how prototyping should be done. You should always prototype before making a game. You should try this, you try that, and I don't think that's the that's the idea behind prototyping. Prototyping is not done to figure out what kind of game you should be making. Prototyping is there to figure out how does stuff feel. If you remember, we had we had asteroids, destructible asteroids, and they kind of didn't feel right. You can also shoot around you can totally miss the target if you shoot a next state, because it's just gonna try to, focus on around it. It depends on the time, but it will explode at the end. If you remember, we had destructible asteroids, and they didn't feel that good. Destructible asteroids didn't feel that good. This feels a lot better, although you just shooting at it. You don't see any destruction yet, but you just kind of destroy it. This feels a lot better than destructible asteroids. And when it comes to that, that's kind of the type of prototyping we are actually doing. When it comes to prototyping, you're not trying to figure out what kind of game you're gonna make. I mean, sometimes you do prototyping to figure out what kind of game you're gonna make, but oftentimes you already know what kind of game you're gonna make. You're gonna MMORPG, you're gonna make some kind of adventure game, you're gonna make some kind of platform, you're gonna make some kind of space game. You already know what you're gonna make, so you don't have to prototype what kind of game, try to find ideas for the game. If you already know what kind of game you're gonna, when it comes to prototyping, it's a what kind of movement of the ship am I gonna have? That's the prototyping. So what are you doing? You're trying to figure out different speeds. You're trying to maybe you're gonna use kinetic body, maybe a rigid body, like in this case we are doing over here. Maybe it's gonna go fast, maybe it's gonna go slow. That's the prototyping, right? What kind of asteroids are we gonna have? Are we gonna have asteroids just being destroyed? Are we gonna have asteroids rotating? Are we gonna have asteroids being in some kind of shapes or something like that? What feels good, right? So you are prototyping, you're doing prototyping to figure out what feels good, right? And that goes with everything, right? With bullets, with missiles, with lasers, right? What feels good, right? So the thing about prototyping is you don't want to use a lot of time trying to build something just to scrape it away. When I was doing destructible asteroids, I used a lot of time to figure out how to make it work, just to find out that at the end of the day, it does not feel good. So prototyping for me, or the prototyping, the way I see it, is when you think about something, you have some kind of skill you want to implement, some kind of zoom you want to implement, something like that. Do it as dirty and as fast as you possibly can, just to see if it feels good, right? The code doesn't have to be clean. The code doesn't have to be functional. It can be, lower your frame rate by, 20 frame rates. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that you get the feel of how it feels when it's actually in the game and it's actually playable, right? Because we oftentimes have an idea about how something is gonna be, but when we try to play it, it doesn't feel that way. So prototyping means try different stuffs. Sorry about that. Try different stuff with different kind of objects and see how it feels, because everything you put in the game depends on the feel. So I have my idea what I wanted the game to be, and it's already so far away from that idea that's almost like a complete new game. I had this idea about solar winds, if you know what kind of game that was, combined with some kind of Max Payne, kind of adventure kind of style, and it's already so far away from that idea. But that's because when I started making it, I figured out this feels good, this doesn't feel good, this feels better, this feels less better, right? So you always pick whatever feels good. So that's the prototyping. You try new stuff. And you try to figure out how does it feel shooting, how does it feel, how does it feel while moving the ship, and so forth. Here's another big thing. In the start, I was shooting by clicking the numbers, right? I was clicking 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and it was shooting the bullets, right? Or was holding 1 and was shooting bullets. I was clicking 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and it was shooting the rockets. I was clicking 3 or holding down the button number 3, and I was clicking the laser. But that's kind of a bad way to do it, because you have to maneuver the ship at the same time as you have to shoot the rockets, and it doesn't work that way. So the better way to actually shoot the bullets and the rockets and the weapons is to turn on the system and then use the mouse button to shoot, because right now I can actually move the ship while at the same time I'm moving. I don't have to focus my ship towards the target over here. I can slowly move the ship with all my fingers while at the same time shooting. The same goes for rockets. I can move the ship around while I shoot at the same time, and I can shoot in any direction. I don't have to, you know, rotate the ship wherever I want, because I can just, you know, move it and shoot it at the same time. The same goes as well for laser up here. Laser up here, and you can see up here that, you know, we can still, you know, drive the ship while we are focusing the laser on the asteroid. So that feels a lot better than actually trying to, you know, move the ship with, you know, left hand and at the same time shoot with the left hand as well. It just doesn't feel good. So what feels good, that's what we keep in the game, and what doesn't feel good, you know, we disregard it. But to figure out what feels good, we gotta prototype, right? So you gotta figure out, you know, okay, we gotta change something, you know, we gotta figure out if it feels good or not. So the next thing I'm gonna prototype is actually the ship movement. Although I love the ship movement that actually goes around, because in my hand this actually feels good. You know, it's in space, you go in one direction, it follows, you go in another direction, it follows, you know. The ship movement does what it's supposed to be. It's kind of still a little bit, you know, tricky to, you know, go around, and you try to, you know, turn around, but, you know, it still goes towards the asteroid. So you gotta use too much brain power to orientate your ship and actually shoot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a very responsive ship. I'm gonna probably make it in kinetic body. I'm gonna make it very very responsive. So anytime it can still be a rigid body technically, but I'm gonna make it a lot more responsive, so it won't be, you know, sliding around the map. I'm a little bit unsure whether that's gonna be actually a good or bad thing, but that's the kind of stuff that we gotta prototype, right? We gotta figure out what we could do. Maybe it's gonna feel better. So this feels good, this is okay, but the other one, you know, if we avoid the sliding and just make some kind of game where you can just very easily have a lot better control of your ship, maybe that's gonna be a lot better. Maybe that's gonna be a lot better, you know, movement for the ship. So we're gonna try that next, and we're gonna see how far we get. Now these buttons down here, this hotbar down here, is not actually very functional. It's just 3 hotbars, so I can see which one of these weapon systems is on. And you can also see once we click the weapon, any weapon system that's clicked, you know, it rotates that that weapon. But this isn't actually functional. But this is some kind of, you know, testing for testing purposes, to figure out whether the how the inventory system will work, what I will use for, you know, buttons and so forth. But I don't think there will be buttons. There will be some kind of a dashboard over here that looks like some kind of ship dashboard, something like that. You know, it will be more game-like than actually just buttons. I'm gonna try to avoid buttons. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more in style with something else. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. That's the update so far. So we're gonna see how this actually plays out. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.